Hello book besties, welcome back to my channel. It is a great day to be a reader, especially if you are a romance or romantasy or just a hopeless romantic lover of love stories. February is our month. If this is your first time seeing me do a blind TBR, a couple things really quick. I'm going to start with books that are not wrapped up that I have to read for the month, and then I will use a random number generator to pick 5 out of the 20 books that are here on my blind TBR. At the end of that, if I want to swap one of the books out, I can do that one time, but then I have to keep whatever that next book is. It can't be swapped again. Before I get into all of the books that I'm gonna read, let me know what books are top of your TBR for February, whether they're new releases or just books that you're really excited to get into. And then as I go, if any of these books you have read and either loved or hated, please let me know. I love to get y'all's input on the books that I'm also gonna read. So first up, we have 3 releases coming in February that I am excited about. They are, of course, top of my TBR. One of them I probably don't even need to mention, but I'm gonna mention because obviously I'm very excited about this one, and that is Rebel Witch. This is the sequel to Heartless Hunter. I loved Heartless Hunter. It had me on the edge of my seat. I sobbed. I am invested. I'm mad as all get up at how the first book ended. Needless to say, I cannot wait to get my hands on Rebel Witch. I will be calling off of life on the day that that comes out because it is so anticipated for me. And then The Rose Bargain also comes out in February, and this is another one that I've never tried this author. I don't even know if the author has any other books out, but the synopsis on this one, realistically, it was the blurb on this one that made me like, I have to read this book. It said something like vying for the hand of one brother but falling in love with the other. It has to do with this girl kind of partaking in a selection, maybe bachelorette style thing for the hand of a prince. It is romantic, so it's set in a fantasy world, and the brother is helping her, but obviously her heart is gonna be a little bit torn. I just feel very gripped by the idea of this book and can't wait to read it. And then the last new release that I really want to read is First Time Caller. All I needed to see was its Sleepless in Seattle type of story. I think it's a radio show host. You know, if you know the story of Sleepless in Seattle, then you know what to expect with this one probably. That was all I needed to see, and it was immediately, yes, I'm going to get this book and read this one. I am so excited about this book. This is a 5-star prediction for me, and I don't give out a lot of 5-star predictions, and I'm reading it with my Patreon, and that is The Favorites by Lane Fargo. I'm so psyched to read this book. It is Daisy Jones and the Six vibes, but make it ice skating, make it childhood friends to, I think, lovers, and then after a huge falling out, a documentary takes place 20 years later. The true story is finally gonna come out. I'm expecting a lot of drama, but edge of my seat, my heart being gripped in it. I really hope this one doesn't disappoint me. And ironically, the runner-up for my Patreon was The Frozen River. I'm really actually surprised this one didn't win, and I was like, I probably won't end up reading it now. But I always have one person pick a book off of my TBR shelf for the month, and my very sweet friend Shelly, she is the grandma friend of mine. I absolutely adore her. She ended up picking The Frozen River for me, and so now I get to also read this one, and I think that the winter time is going to be the perfect time to read it. Obviously, I mean, look at this cover. This is a historical mystery. I also have such high expectations for this one because of the amount of people around me who have read it and absolutely loved it. And in January, I started the Zodiac Academy. And spoiler for my January wrap-up, I ended up totally binging the first 2 books. After I finished the first one, I jumped immediately into the second book. So I really want to keep going with it. It's not perfect. I will give more of my thoughts when I do my wrap-up video. So before you're like, I'm gonna run and go get this because obviously it must be good, please hold. Do not do that. This series, this story is so not for everyone. But I am going to read the 3rd book in Zodiac Academy. I have moments of ick, I have moments of frustration, but I'm so invested and gripped and just where are we going with this? So I'm going to continue with this series as well. And the last book that I am putting on my own TBR is Of Love and Treason. I actually read 100 pages of this last February, and it is sat unread and unfinished, yeah, basically an entire year now. It is like a historical romance about Valentine. I actually don't even know if this is the true story of Valentine. Maybe I should look that up. But it is the story of Valentine. Whether it's fact or fiction, I do not know. Even though I've waited an entire year to pick it back up, I really do want to finish it. What I have read has stuck with me, and so I want to see how this one ends. Okay, now let's get into the blind books. I'm gonna use a like random number generator little wheel thing. 1 through 20. I always get so nervous and so excited. Spin. Number 6. Oh, awesome! I just hauled this one. If you watched my last video, it was a book haul. So I'm so happy to read this one because I'm trying to get better about the fact that when I purchase a book, I actually read it pretty quickly rather than sticking it on my shelf. And this book is beautiful. It sounds so good. So this is going to be just perfect for February. This one's about a grumpy brother's best friend who's working as a contractor on her house. He's very attached to his solitude. And did I say grumpy? No matter how many times I try to kill him with kindness, he simply will not crack until he sees me shatter. My world comes crashing down around me, and Anson is the one catching me as I fall. It says that it is gripping, emotional, utterly romantic, yes please, and kept me guessing until the very end. It's a romantic suspense. I did not realize that until this very second that this is actually a romantic suspense. I saw the second book to this when I was at Barnes & Noble yesterday, and it's like the same type of cover but hot pink sprayed edges. Guys, they're gonna look so good on the shelf next to each other, but I refrained from buying it because I obviously want to make sure I like this book first. So now I'm actually gonna read this, and then I'm gonna go grab that book if I love this one. Number 12. I know what this one is. I only know what it is because it's the only hardcover that I wrapped up. I'm very happy about this. The Half King. I randomly picked this up when I was shopping. It is the book that drew me in. It is stunning looking. It's a romantasy. Oh wait, let me show you the inside as well. And the number one reason why I was like, I really hope that it gets opened sooner than later is because I have seen nobody talk about this book. I'm sure I could go to Goodreads and see some ratings and reviews, but I don't want to. It's just not often as like a romance and romantasy reader that I come across one that I don't hear a bunch of other people talking about. There's something so special about reading a book without anyone else's opinions in my mind. So I'm very excited to read this one and see for 100% myself if it's good or bad. It says that it's a kingdom of secrets, a palace of lies, and a curse that could shatter her world. The king exists during the day, but he fades into nothingness at night until his 21st birthday, when he will be lost to the shadows forever. But there is only one way to save a dying king, and it lies with the one person who's hiding the biggest secret of all, which is our female main character, I'm assuming. It could totally stink, but it could also be 5 stars. Who knows? We're gonna find out. And book number 3. Number 9. I'm so excited to read this book. Mile High. I think that there's a lot of you that are going to be so excited I'm reading this book too. This is a favorite romance series for a lot of people I see that love this book, that love this series. There is another one coming out this year, which is why I was finally like, okay, it's time for me to start this series. All that I know is it's a hockey romance. That's literally it. I'm going 100% based on the fact that this book is very loved. Book number 4. Number 3. Oh, this is exciting. Rebecca Yarros's Great and Precious Things. I love her romance books, and I'm just really slowly getting through them, so this is a good choice because I've honestly yet to find one of hers that I didn't like. Obviously, if you don't know, she's the author of Fourth Wing, but other than Fourth Wing, which is obviously romantasy, she really primarily just writes romance. So this one is about 6 years ago. Camden came back from war without his younger brother. No one in the small town of Alba, Colorado would forgive him, especially his father. He left, swearing never to return. But a desperate message from his father brings it all back. The betrayal, the pain, and the need to go home again. But home is where the one person he still loves is waiting. Willow, the one woman he can never have because there are secrets built in Alba that are best left in the dark. It's a heart-wrenching, forbidden romance about family, betrayal, and ultimately how far we're willing to go on behalf of those who we love and who need us the most. I'm obviously here for the love, always. I just love love stories so much, especially when two people have to really fight the odds and fight through the muck of life in order to be together. And that is something I feel like Rebecca Yarros does so effortlessly and so well. So I'm very excited to have another one of her books on my TBR. All right, and time for the last book. Then we will see if I'm going to swap any of them out. Number 15. $20 books on this shelf. 2 of them were by Rebecca Yarros. Only 2. We opened the other one that's by Rebecca Yarros. I can tell you right now I'm gonna swap one of them out, but let me read the synopsis on this one and then decide which one I'm gonna swap. Georgia Stanton has to start over after she gave up almost everything in a brutal divorce. The New York house, the friends, and her pride. Now back home at her late great-grandmother's estate in Colorado, she finds herself face to face with Noah Harrison, the best-selling author of 1 million books where the cover is always people nearly kissing. He's just as arrogant in person as in interviews, and she'll be darned if the good-looking writer of love stories thinks he's the one to finish her grandmother's final novel. And so he's trying to write this book, but dealing with her beautiful, stubborn, cynical great-granddaughter Georgia is quite another issue. But as they read Scarlett's words in both the manuscript and her box of letters, they start to realize why Scarlett never finished the book. So I'm gathering that this is told in 2 different time periods. I don't know which one I want to read and which one I want to swap. I'm so tempted to open up Goodreads and compare ratings and stuff, but I also want to make a decision entirely based on which one I feel more drawn to right now, but I don't know what that is. Just hold please. I think that I'm going to swap Things We Leave Unfinished and keep Great and Precious Things. I 100% made this decision based on the fact that this one is like 75 less pages. And you know what? When you've got to make a decision, you just figure out how to make that choice. So we're gonna put this one just back up here and spin one more time. Now the catch is, no matter how I feel about this next book, if I am excited or not, it has to stay. I can't swap it back for this one. I'm so nervous. Number 14. This is tiny. Good choice. Lucy's Score, No More Secrets. I was tempted to wait on this one until the spring, but guys, I'm so tired of the cold weather that I was like, you know what? I need this in my life. I'm gonna stick it on this TBR. I bought this one probably a year ago and have been so excited to read it, but it just never gets unwrapped. What I have read of Lucy's Score I really like, so I am very happy that this one got picked. Again, another military guy. He is looking for just a really quiet place to go in his New York hometown after being on tour, but the town is a bunch of matchmaking busybodies. And this big city journalist arrives to interview him for her magazine. She's out of place. She asks too many questions and gets under his skin. His only chance for peace is to scare her away from his farm so that he can go back to his comfortable solitary existence. It says at the top though, "Are you calling dibs?" Yes, I'm calling dibs if it keeps your hands off her. I didn't even need to read the synopsis. I will 100% read this book just on that little blurb at the top. It sounds like it's gonna be another just grumpy sunshine, small town type of a story, tried and true type of a trope, and I'm not mad about it. Okay, so we have a total of 9, and then including the 3, 10, 11, 12 books on my February TBR. 100%. I will not read all 12 books. Last year I used to try really hard to read every book that's on my TBR, but now I've increased the amount that I'm putting on it because I do like at least a little bit of the ability to mood read, so there's going to be like 2 or 3, maybe even 4 that I do not get to. Of course, some of them I have to read, but the rest I get to just mood read through. Alright, that is a wrap. I really hope that you enjoyed this video. If you liked it and you haven't hit subscribe yet, please consider hitting that subscribe button and sticking around. I hope that your February books are amazing, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Go read a book.